Good morning. I'm Louis and I'm a student in Newbury Hall School. So this week my teachers were Garkay, Kara, Joe, Kiran, Paul, and Mirella. Um, there are some things that I found very interesting about my teachers. So first of all, Joe is very passionate about science, and I like the way that she shares with us her passion. It's very interesting for students. Then Garkay, he likes to work on drama and political philosophy, and I'm very interested in that too. And Kara had a lot of different jobs in her life, so she can tell us about her own experience, and that's good because it can help me to find my way in my future career, in my future job. So I really liked these points about my teachers. This week, the students in my class were Marco. So he's Spanish. He's very nice and cheerful. There was also Ines. She's Spanish too, and she was very studious and motivated. That gives a good energy to the lessons. The other student was Consuelo. So she's French, and she likes to make the atmosphere relaxed. That creates good relationships between students and teachers. So the overall atmosphere in my lessons were studious and enjoyed. I was working very hard this week, and in particular with my classmate Augustine, when we had to find out mistakes in another student's essay. So we had to find out grammar mistakes, vocabulary mistakes, and to mark the essay. So we saw that the students didn't really use a good structure. He was doing a lot of mistakes, grammar mistakes, although he had a very high vocabulary. So we marked it about 6 out of 9. This week I helped Gabriele to find out the quantity of sugar in red onions during the science lesson. And that was very funny and very interesting to see how we can use scientific process to find out the amount of sugar in food. I also helped Garkay to set up everything for the drama lesson, so he was very he was very pleased with that. I've discussed about 3 main topics during the conversation class. The first one was childhood and parenting, so it was about the relationships between children and parents. That's very interesting in our modern times. It changed a lot. The second one was about travel and all the countries where we traveled, our favorite countries, and all of that. And the last one was about culture, so we talked about art, cinema, drama. It was very interesting. For book club, I read Travels in the Land of Serpents and Pearls, written by Marco Polo. So it relates the adventures of the Venetian merchant Marco Polo in Ceylon and Malabar when he went to travel around the world. I particularly liked this book because I like to travel, I like to discover countries, and it was an old vision of travel, and I really enjoyed it. I remember some words from my smart vocabulary list, which are eminent, lively, receptive, disillusioned, finicky, and quarrelsome. I've done a presentation this week about a philosopher called Immanuel Kant. So I managed very well to summarize the topic and to make it understandable for the other students. That was a bit difficult to do. I spoke louder as my teacher advised me in my previous presentation. And finally, I kept an eye on my public. So they could stay awake during my presentation. So I've also talked about future careers with Kara this week. So we played a game in order to discover jobs such as architects, HR, HR worker. So this was very interesting because it helped me to have a better vision of the jobs that I could do in the future. Then I had a very funny and interesting lesson with Joe in the science lab. So we worked in food chemistry. So we were trying to find out the amount of sugar, of fat, of proteins in some kinds of food, such as pasta, onions, fruits. So I really liked this time with Joe. And then we did a bit of history with Galkay about Wimbledon, so this famous tennis tournament. And I've learned a lot about how it was created and how it progressed during the years. I've used my learner portfolio this week, in particular with the vocabulary list. That was very useful in order to improve and uplevel my vocabulary. And also with the welfare and ambitions coaching, that helped me to know better why I'm studying here, what I want to do after studying here. So that was particularly interesting. I could use more the academic writing phrases in order to make my essays better and to get a high score in my IELTS test. My teachers told me I can improve if I work on grammar mistakes, because I did a lot of grammar mistakes actually this week. And if I read more. So they advised me to read more with theory. So in order to improve that I will pay more attention to my grammar and my pronunciation, and I will do as much read theories as possible this week. So about 40, I think.